Alright guys, so this is me, this is you, and this is what we're going to learn today. Biodiversity, why it's important, and how it affects us every single day. You've probably seen this before. It's a basic food web. You got your producers on the bottom, you got your primary consumers, your secondary consumers, and your tertiary consumers, also known as apex species. Those are kind of the top dogs in every ecosystem. I don't know about you, but this seems way too simple for our Bio 11 course. Too simple, not only for our course, but also for real life. The reason I say it's too simple is because this just doesn't work. So watch what happens when we take out these snakes here. Snakes, although you may think they're a negative thing, are actually very good for this ecosystem. Now that the snakes are gone, these rats are going to grow exponentially. Now, with all these rats floating around, yes, the rats might seem like they're happy, because they probably are. Also, the muskrat here, he is also a happy camper because he's got lots of rats to eat. But now, there's more rats and more muskrats also, that means there are more muskrats to eat. These grasshoppers, once these grasshoppers disappear, then these muskrats go directly for the rats and eat nothing but the rats, and eventually the rats disappear. Now, what's the muskrat going to eat? Can't eat the rabbits, they're too big. Rabbits are eaten by the owl, and this entire thing collapses. In this case here, even though it is still a little too simple for real life, it makes a little bit more sense. There are more animals here, more species, that is. And this is where we're going to learn the first concept of biodiversity. As always, we see our basic breakdown of the ecosystem into trophic levels. So, like you see here, primary producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and those same tertiary or apex predators. Now, let's say in this case here, it's actually the mongoose that disappears for some reason, a disease or of some kind. Even though the mongoose eats lots of these animals, it doesn't really matter because that mongoose isn't the only animal that eats these other animals. These animals are eaten by a whole bunch of different animals. So even though that other animal is gone, the mongoose that we were talking about before, there are tons of other animals that can pick up the slack for the mongoose, which means there isn't too much of an effect on the ecosystem as a whole. So essentially, biodiversity helps ecosystems in 4 ways. It helps them better adapt to large-scale changes. It helps them recuperate from catastrophe. It helps them defend against invasive species. And finally, it helps them recuperate or recover from a large-scale death or disappearance of a species from the ecosystem. All in all, that helps it defend against a whole bunch of different things and makes it overall a stronger ecosystem. Biodiversity is good.